Hi, everybody. Welcome to a session in Awaken and Unleash Your Inner Power. We have Hannah today. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Violetta. Hi, it is I, Hannah Ruhamah, the kombucha mama.
Oh, I love that. Look at that.
I'm mother to mazillions of microbes around the world, including some that might be inside of you. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Maybe,
Oh,
maybe not. So let me just ask, are you a kombucha fan, kombucha curious? What's your kombucha experience?
I have had a kombucha when I was having indigestion. I remember this a couple years ago when I was working so hard in the city. I was an actor and barely had any time to stop. And kombucha, along with teas and herbs, have helped my digestion process a lot. And I know that kombucha can also kill some candida.
Yes.
And I think back at the time I had candida, and it really helped cleanse that through my digestive tract. And so I'm so happy to talk about this and present this to our audience. And the segment that we have is microbiomes are magic, modalities for tuning in and turning on. And I know that kombucha is one part of how we can help our health come back to homeostasis, particularly on microbiomes, and also how we can include more magic as well. So tell me a
Absolutely.
little bit about kombucha.
So for those who don't know, kombucha is simply fermented tea, right? Like wine is fermented grapes, beer is fermented barley and malt, and sauerkraut is fermented cabbage. So it goes on and on and on. So in the case of kombucha, it's fermented tea. Now, tea, which is Camellia sinensis, we're talking about black tea, green tea, white tea, not peppermint tea. We can do that. That's more advanced. We won't talk about that today. But Camellia sinensis has its own host of nutrients that are enhanced by the fermentation process. And so it's high in vitamin C, polyphenols, antioxidants. It's going to have all of the B vitamins in living form, which is where you get this little energy boost. Plus, like you mentioned, it really helps to improve digestion, which is another place where we get more energy. Just imagine you've eaten a big meal, you feel weighed down, you have a little kombucha that helps to move things along. Of course, you're naturally going to have a little more energy. And so, all the things you mentioned, kombucha definitely can help with. Now, I like to think of kombucha as an entry, not an end point.
Mm.
And she is microbes are magic in the sense that what is magic? When you watch a really good magic trick, you can't see what the magician is doing, and you feel like, whoa, that was really exciting and interesting. And microbes, which are those good bacteria, I mean, there's bacteria, there's all kinds of things around us, on us, inside of us. Like I like to call us bacteriosapiens because I feel like that more accurately describes the relationship we have with bacteria. Imagine Pigpen, right? He's got this whole little dirt cloud around him. Well, we have that with bacteria, and it's so unique. You can even get a DNA signature like a thumbprint to read someone's bacterial signature. And
Wow.
so we need microbes, and we need them from a wide variety of sources. And that's why I say kombucha is that entry point, not end point, because she's going to invite us into closing feedback loops. Microbes are magic, and all kinds of other modalities.
That is amazing to know that we actually need certain microbiome bacterias in order to come in and facilitate the cleansing process and have a nice cleaning slate. And kombucha can do that. It can help. I love that you said it was an opener. It's a pathway for more to come through.
Absolutely. Well, and it's also a medium for medicinal herbs. So one of the things we love to do is
Mhm.
to flavor our kombucha. So we might add what herbs are in season, what fruits are in season. So it could be lavender, rose petals, blueberries. That's my favorite one. I call it love potion.
Aw.
The one I make for my husband is pink lemonade. This is strawberry, lemon, thyme. So when I first started developing flavors, I looked what's at my farmer's market, what's growing in my yard, what are things that I can just incorporate that I love. And the reality is human beings have been doing this since the dawn of time. This is our original medicine, are all of these beautiful plants and herbs and things around us. And because of that fermentation process, again, it's going to enhance that nutritional value. So when you really understand how different herbs and different things can support you,
Mhm.
infusing them into your kombucha just gives it that little extra boost because it's going to allow you to absorb that nutrition more easily.
That's wonderful. How can kombucha heal our bodies in other ways as well?
I love this question because really one of the big things she's doing is closing that feedback loop. Like we live in a beautiful, divine, amazing, like we're not a robot. It's not fuel in, fuel out. It's not just, replace this part with that part. Like we are organic, living, beautiful creatures. But unfortunately, we've also grown up with a lot of propaganda and advertising that tells us we're not attractive enough, or we need to eat these things or those things in order to X, Y, or Z. And so that has really disconnected us from truly feeling into this ancient DNA wisdom. So whether you believe in reincarnation or we're just going strictly from a biological perspective, you are the descendants of those who survived the plagues, who walked with the dinosaurs, who made it through all of the tragedies, the trials, and things that have shaped our human race. And so imagine all of that wisdom, all of that intelligence lives inside of your body. What to eat, when to eat, how to eat, all of that is already innate inside of you. And yet we're like the only species that has to be told when and how to eat because we've lost that connection to self. And so one of my favorite practices with kombucha, so this is whether you're making it at home or you're buying it from the store, first thing in the morning, a little meditation, right? So put a little blessing words in there, and then have your first sip and feel what I feel. My organs relax. Like when's the last time you felt your organs?
Right.
Usually when they're hurting. So let's try to feel them when they're not hurting.
Yes.
And what does that feel like? And so you start to what I call close that feedback loop. And then this can be applied to anything you're consuming, not just food, but what you're watching. Like, how do you feel after seeing some of the intense things that are on TV or whatnot, or on social media? Monitor how you're feeling about things and then let go of. You don't have to consume those things. I know sometimes we like the buzz, we like the jolt of adrenaline, the cortisol, but when we live in that fight or flight state too much, this is when our bodies are depleted and exhausted. And so this is a way for us to, again, close that feedback loop and really feel the impact of everything we're consuming, not just food.
I love that. And how we can bridge between beverages and food is really important. And how we can look at those two variables as a symbiotic function. I love that you said that our organs, we can feel them come to life. So much of the time when we're eating either unconsciously or we're drinking things unconsciously. But I would really love this idea that all of our listeners can consciously digest, consciously drink, eat, and heal our bodies instead of harm our bodies.
We need to do it with our emotions.
Exactly.
Right? Energy and motion. When you don't process emotions, your body hangs on to that energy and then it starts to manifest in physical ailments. And so sometimes what we need to do is to digest anger, fear, sadness, traumatic events that have happened. It doesn't mean we have to relive them, but by consciously going through a practice of allowing ourselves to break it down into smaller pieces, like this is what I love about digestion and compost. And this is why, as a Scorpio, I think I'm naturally inclined towards fermentation and death, is because it's all part of this beautiful cycle. When the leaves fall off the trees and fall, they die at the roots and provide nutrients so that come spring, new life can grow. And that's every experience you're having. But if you don't digest it, if you let it just sit in your body unprocessed, you don't gain the nutrients. You don't gain the value of that experience so that you can continue to grow, and we stay locked in a certain place. And it can be challenging to let those things go. And so whether it's kombucha or whether it's magic in other ways. And so some of the other modalities that I love to work with are like tarot. I've been doing tarot since I was 15. Again, that Scorpio thing. I think I've always been attracted to the occult.
Yes, the metaphysical world and magic and what you can't see. So I love that we're talking about something tangible and physical like kombucha. We can see it, taste it, and we digest it. And same thing with magic in the metaphysical world. We can feel the energies and we can sense the energies, but we don't need to see them to believe them. So we're having the physical and the metaphysical together and we're bridging them. Can you talk about how we can bridge that now in terms of healing our bodies and now activating our spirit and our intuition?
Absolutely. And here's the reality: the body keeps the score. You have this ancient DNA wisdom. You already know.
Yeah.
You're already complete. You're already healed. You already have the information. But how do you tap into it? Because sometimes, again, those stories we've heard, the world around us, whatever it might be, we might have blockages. And so 3 cards just fell out of the tarot deck. So I'm just going to
Yeah,
talk a little
let's
bit about
see.
tarot, because it's absolutely one of my favorite modalities. Really, what tarot deals with, a lot of people are like, it's all woo, it's fortune telling. It's none of those. Really, it's a tool for self-reflection.
Yes.
It deals with archetypes. Archetypes are these, right, the way that we understand the hero's journey. If we look at Joseph Campbell, like, we are the hero, and all heroes go through a process. You see this repeated time and again. Every movie on a certain level is just an iteration of the hero's journey. Just the adventures and the setting might be different. And so we really understand these at a deep, visceral, almost cellular level. And so when we allow these archetypes, and so there's archetypes and then there's elements. And so what I drew here actually were all court cards. So you probably know from playing cards that there are, right, you have ace through 10, and then you have jack, queen, king. In tarot, we have those same court cards, but there's one more. We also have a page or princess, depending on the type of deck you use. And so the major arcana, just to give a little background, the major arcana is that 0 to 21. Those are going to be the Fool is 0, and we end with the Universe at 21. And there's many things along the way, including death and the devil and the tower and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then we get into the elements, which are the ace through 10. And so just like we have hearts, that's going to be correlated to cups, which is emotions, hence hearts, love. We're going to have discs or pentacles. Those are going to represent earth, finances, your physical body. We have swords. That's going to be air or the intellect, right? Like the pen is mightier than the sword, so to speak. And this is the sharpness of our mind. And then finally, we have wands, which is fire, passion, creativity, career, spiritual awakening. So all of these different elements can tell us a story. And the court cards are either people in our lives or they're facets of ourselves. So let's see what we got first. And I'm using a Power Angel deck. So it has the traditional symbology here, but a little more uplifting, because, challenging times and all. So this is the King of Michael. Michael in this case is going to be swords. The King of Swords. Swords is air. King is going to be that fully materialized male element of the swords. And here he says, wisdom and objectivity are important now. Stay in your integrity, a situation that calls for honest and open communication, because we're dealing with the intellect. And when we have that idealized male energy of that, right, there's an assertiveness to it. So we want to make sure that we're keeping that open and honest communication there.
Yes. Yes, that makes sense.
And then what we have is the Page of Gabriel. So Gabriel in this case is going to be wands. We can see that fire, that illumination.
Yes.
Page is going to be that sort of inspirational energy. So we have the page as the inspiration, the knight is the messenger, or the next sort of iteration of that energy. And then we have the queen, which is the actualized feminine, and the king, which is the actualized masculine. So the Page of Gabriel is energetic, brave, optimistic, playful. Follow your passion. You are ready for any challenge, opportunities for excitement and adventure. So by staying in integrity, having open communication, that's going to lead us into this next place where we can have opportunities for excitement, for adventure, for spiritual awakening. And then finally, we end with the Queen of Ariel. Ariel in this case is going to represent discs, or so this is the Queen of Pentacles. Anyone who knows the tarot, she's beautiful. She's sitting on her throne. She's got this gorgeous landscape around her. There's a little rabbit by her foot. It's just this mature, practical, generous, happy, nurture yourself and those you love. The ability to make anything beautiful, practical, and wise advice. So I think these cards here today are telling us, stay in integrity and be honest, follow our spiritual passion, and then care for those we love. And that's great advice any day of the week.
Any day of the week, for sure. I love that, because we can really see so much through the tarot and like you said, the Fool's Journey. It brings up where you are in your process and processes right now. It could show you in the here and now it's happening, not the past, not the future, although that can come in. But the most important thing is to look at what's happening in the here and now. That way you can use your free will and the energy that's coming through so you can work with those two and dance alongside and co-create with your free will and your destiny.
I love the way you just said that, Viola. Absolutely right. Because we do have free will. And certain things are going to happen because we can't help but be ruled by the gravitational energies of the planets of our universe.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me when people are like, I don't believe in astrology. I'm like, okay, but we know the tides are controlled by the moon and you're 70 to 80% water. What makes you think you're immune?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so there's another modality that came into being in 1987 called human design. And what's so interesting about it is that the type that I am in human design didn't come into being until Uranus was discovered in 1741 or 48, thereabouts. But for those who don't know, human design is an amalgam. It was channeled to a man in Ibiza in 1987. The description of the experience doesn't sound like it was like, oh, it sounded like intense and painful and was like this really massive download that he received. And human design is an integration of astrology. So we're going to use our birth data to generate a chart, but it also pulls on modalities such as the I Ching, which is the Chinese sort of fortune telling, if you will, but really has so many beautiful aspects to it of the hexagram. So they have 6 lines and have different meanings based on that. It also incorporates the chakra systems and in fact adds a couple extra ones.
Yes.
And then finally the Kabbalah. So Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. It's associated with the tree of life. And the tree of life honestly looks a lot like the chakra system, again, with some different areas. So what I did today to help introduce people to it is I created a chart for you and myself. So we'll look at these because they're both very different. What I love about human design is it's called the science of differentiation, and they really think of it as an experiment. So when I do human design readings, what I love is what I call the laughter of recognition. And what this means is when I start describing to people what their type is, what their authority is, there's this like, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I see me in that. And I just absolutely love. And as someone who's loved astrology for a long time, and I swear to God, I nail my chart. Maybe you feel this way too, Violetta. It just is like, oh, wow, this totally resonates and makes sense to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As above, so below.
Yes.
In every way possible.
So here we're looking at your chart and you can see the various chakra systems, right? And we see some are colored in and some are hollow. So the ones that are colored in are what we call defined centers, whereas these are what we would call undefined or open. I won't get into too many of the nuances. We won't overwhelm people, but what we can see here is that you have several colored in areas. And so based on where these are colored in, this tells us you're a manifesting generator. So there are 6 types in total. I have a little cheat sheet, but it's generator. So these are people who just have pure energy. They're here to build, build, build. And in fact, our society has kind of been run by generators for a really long time. We have manifestors, and their role is to initiate. They're here to start things, get things started. Then we have that combination, the manifesting generator, which does a little bit of both. So you have these energy centers. You're here to start things, but you're not necessarily going to be the one who's going to finish those things, but you are here to respond and to inform. Then we have projectors, which is what I am, and we'll look at my chart in a minute, which is someone who doesn't have a lot of energy centers. That means I'm picking up on other people's energy. I'm reflecting it back out into the world. And projectors are here to be guides. We see deeply into people. We're able to offer advice, but only if they seek it out from us. So we know that we can't just be giving out advice everywhere. It always ends up sounding like criticism if someone's not ready for it. And so we have to be very conscious of that. And then there are reflectors. Reflectors are only about 2% of the entire population, and they have no defined center. So this chart would be completely white if we were talking to a reflector. And they're really all the energy of everything around them, and they need an entire lunar cycle before they can take action, because they need to process and digest every aspect of what's going on before they can take action.
That's very interesting.
So what we see here is you're a manifesting generator, and what makes you a manifesting generator is you have this defined throat center. That means you're here to communicate, you're here to share. Also, because your profile is 3-5, I'm looking here, 3 and 5, those numbers there. This is a transpersonal. So if you have the lines 1 through 3, those are intrapersonal, so between yourself, your family members. But if you have the lines 4 through 6, that's transpersonal, meaning you're here to get a message out into the world. So you're not supposed to play small. You're not supposed to just hide out at home. You really are here to bring a message to the world. And I'm sure you feel that way.
Yes, for sure. If I don't speak and I don't speak my truth or express my feelings or thoughts to my external world, I feel like I get sick, like I can't, or I get really upset, and I don't feel fully expressed. Like that is, I have a really strong desire to communicate.
And manifesting generators, when they aren't in their flow or authority, they feel frustrated. So maybe frustrated is what you feel, and you're not able to express.
Yeah, got it.
And as the 3-5, so this is, so actually, let me go to sacral authority. So you have sacral authority. Let me see which one. Yeah, sacral center. So because this is defined, this in the hierarchy of how they indicate authorities, this is what's going to be helping you understand. So let me back up a second. Basically, in human design, they say the mind is incapable of making decisions. You have to listen to the body. So it's not that the mind doesn't process information, doesn't receive, insights or whatnot, but truly to know what's in alignment for you, it must come through the body. Designed this way. And so how do you know when something is in alignment for you? In your case, it's sacral. So I'm going to break that down a little bit. So sacral authority means that you're going to hear an uh-huh or uh-uh. It's a pre-verbal response. So it's not yes, no, but it's like uh-huh, uh-uh, uh-huh. You might even find yourself someone who kind of, talks to yourself or makes grunting noises when you're looking at something, or when something agrees with you, like
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so that's what that authority is. And so how do you know if something's right for you? So first of all, you have to wait to respond. So again, you're not here to initiate, and you can respond to lots of things. It's not just like, oh, I ask you a question, you respond, but it could be like something you've thought about, and then there's a sign from the universe. See, like a bird, you see a hawk, or some kind of animal medicine comes in, or, a song sparks a memory. So you can respond to lots of different things, but you'll only have energy for those things that you're in alignment with.
Yes, for sure. I'm not one of those people that has an unlimited source of energy to do things.
Correct.
I have a minimal amount of precise energy and focus for the things that I'm absolutely in alignment with. Otherwise, I'm just checked out.
And this is what I love about human design, is when you know that about yourself, then you're like, okay, well, let me find the things that are truly in alignment with my purpose. So then I can flow more easily into that which I'm here to do.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, you're going to feel frustrated. And nobody likes that.
No.
And so the 3-5 means that you're here to try a lot of things and fail. So I don't know if you've experienced this in life, but this really is, it's the martyr heretic. So the 3 is the martyr. And by martyr, it just means you're going to try a lot of things. You're going to fail at them, but you learn by doing, basically. You're someone who needs to try things.
Doing.
And then the heretic, which I'm also a heretic, we'll look at that in a minute, but you're bringing things that are outside the mainstream into the mainstream. And so we're really bringing sort of these modalities, this magic, these different ways that human beings have connected with themselves, and we're bringing them to the forefront. So these tools can be used by humanity as we continue to evolve and grow on this planet.
Beautiful. It's so true.
And there's so much more we could dive into, but as you can imagine, it's very like astrology. It's something with the houses and the planets and the
bottomless pit of information, and it just so many different layers to it. And this is just the surface. and there's so much more, but I'm so happy that you introduced this to anybody who does not know about it. And thank you for reading my chart.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to just show my chart to talk
Sure.
a little bit about projectors, because we're about 20% of the population. Again, we didn't really start being born on this planet until Uranus was discovered. And as you can see, I have no energy centers that are defined. And this means I don't have my own energy.
Mm.
I have an open head. This means I'm going to get a lot of ideas. I have an open root, which means I'm going to be a little bit more flexible with how things go in life. And again, I have that defined throat center, which means I need to talk a lot.
Uh-huh.
But I also speak my mind. As we can see, I have this and it goes right to my G center or my heart. So with projectors, let me just look strategy and authority. So we have to wait for the invitation. Because our auras are so penetrating and we have this ability to deeply see and feel into people, we need to be invited to share our insights. Because if we don't, of course, that could land weird. People could take it the wrong way. We're also here to be recognized. And so when people recognize a projector, it really just makes us feel so seen. Like being seen is so important as a projector, because we really are here to offer guidance. And so this is we're here to help people figure out what's next for them, lead them to the insights and the wisdom that they need in order to continue to grow. And so what this means, having no energy centers, doesn't mean I have no energy. Oh my gosh, if I listed off all the things I've done, it would be a little crazy. But it means that our energy comes either from other people, and we need a lot of downtime. We need a lot of time in nature. We need a lot of time. That's where we get a lot of our juicy insights. I'm not saying other people don't get that from nature, but that's really crucial for a projector. And my line here is 5-1. So I'm, again, the heretic researcher. So this means I'm going to dive deep on any subject, because in order to be an authority, I have to know what the heck I'm talking about.
Mm.
And so with that one line, I'm here to the things I love, I'm going to go deep. I'm going to figure out what it is. And then I'm here to simplify that information and make it easy for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my gosh, we could go on and on and on, because there's so much to unpack there, but I just wanted to give people a little taste of how this can work. And anyone can go online and find a free chart generator. But again, there's going to be a lot to unpack. And so I do offer readings to help people. And what I'm really passionate about is small business. I don't think I mentioned it, but I also started a trade association to support small kombucha brands around the world. And so I really have a passion of helping entrepreneurs understand their type and their strategy. Again, there's so much more, but those two things alone can help you understand how to make the right decisions for yourself, so that you're in alignment and doing the things that are beneficial for you. For so long, I lived in a generator world and I just didn't understand. I felt like I was lazy. I thought there was something wrong with me. How come I couldn't do this? And once I learned why, and I was able to give myself the self-care I need, the amount of downtime I need, the realization that my worth isn't based on an hourly rate. Oh my gosh, I just have been able to evolve into who I'm really here to be.
That is such a beautiful journey, because that's why we have these modalities here for us, so that we can understand what our energetic imprint is, so that we're not feeling lost in the sauce of society, because we're not all supposed to be marching to the beat of society's drums. We need to take the time, and we're talking about awakening and unleashing our power here. So what does that look like? It looks like understanding what our energetic imprint is. And if we don't know what that is, that's why we have these modalities that we can go to. We have teachers, we have guides, we have readers, so that we can understand what our innate chart says, our natal chart in astrology, or human design, our Kabbalistic astrology, Vedic astrology. I mean, you name it, it's all there for us, that we can go inside and say, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? Why was I born? Why do I love the things that I love? And we're not all meant to have a specific kind of job, a 9-to-5 hourly rate. Some people feel really safe in that, and that's for them. And some people feel limited in that and not safe, and they would rather go into the unknown. And we need to understand where we are on what side. And that's why we need these modalities.
And you're probably like me, Violetta. Like I have various energy healers, psychics. Like I'm always trying different modalities. I love plant medicine. Like I am here to try all the things because I get so much out of them. And sure, I have my sauce. I'm able to share and have insights for others. And I love to get that back, right? So it
Yeah.
isn't just a one-way street, like you're only going to
Right.
be a user of, or you're only going to be a practitioner of. But that's what's so lovely about it is, we get so much from incorporating all of these different modalities together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that now when we're awakening into our spiritual power, that we are open to receiving guidance from teachers, guides, and readers, where we will attract the right mentor to us that will guide us in our soul's path. And I would love everyone to be open to who that is to them. Whoever is really feeling like they are in a transitional path, that magic and spirituality can absolutely shed light into the darkest parts of their psyche.
Well, we're all magic. We're all magical beings. Just the act of being alive is magic incarnate. We don't totally understand. Science will never understand because all science does is look at phenomena that already exist and try to understand why or how. But the reality is the phenomena exists. Like we regenerate, we are infinite in so many ways. And that's what I love is we don't have to have, look, I'm the researcher. I love the science. So I'm not saying there isn't value in that, but there's also like when we trust, when we just let go and relax into, oh my gosh, I'm a human being on the most beautiful planet in the world that's infinitely abundant, and we can see with those eyes, we truly have a magical experience every day.
Yes, that's wonderful. So our next modality would be astrology, right? Now we've gone the human design, which was it's an impeccable modality to show us how our energy moves. Astrology can show us a little bit more of where our soul and our spiritual other side can come in and how it can materialize on this 3D plane. I'd love for us to get into that.
Yeah, I'm a huge astrology fan, like I said. So let's see, I'll share some of my astrology. Maybe you tell me
I
a little bit about
would
myself.
I would love that. I would
I'm
love
a Scorpio sun, Cancer rising with a Sagittarius moon.
Okay. Interesting. So that makes sense why you want to share your teachings, because the compulsion of Scorpio can be compulsive with taking in information of the unknown. And then the moon is the instinctive nature of sharing it to the world. So you have this nice kind of infinity symbol of being alone and learning information and then projecting that into your society, into your community, to share the wealth and the knowledge. The Cancer rising in you loves to nurture people with your emotional capacity to exchange information, but also nurture their feelings. And that's why you call yourself kombucha mama, right? Because
It's
that's
so true.
mother.
I'm not actually a mother to human children, but I'm a mother to businesses. I'm a mother to my microbes, and I'm a mother to my family. But yes, I haven't been through it may or may not happen in this lifetime, but I'm just so grateful to be a mother in all those other ways.
And I love that you said that you're a mother, and it doesn't mean that a mother of the definition that we know of mother to be, a mother to the world. You're nurturing, you're mothering, you're birthing creations, and it's just as important what you do with that as much as it is a human being. So and some women who are listening are probably nodding their heads like, yes, yes, I've chosen the path of not, they're thinking I've chosen the path of not doing that as well, but birthing so many amazing other projects in this life. But the Cancer rising, water ruled, your sun water ruled, gives you a very deep emotional, intrinsic, psychic nature. And you're ruled by the moon's rulership. So you go to where the moon is in Sagittarius. You're like a Cancer Sag rising, where you have to oscillate between wanting to be alone and also wanting to be out in the public. Then that Scorpio is like, I want to be hidden and I want to be secretive. But that Sag is like, I want to be roaring and being seen. So I think there was a trajectory in your life span at some point of how to do both.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and I love, like, so just some of my total, like, I sing to the ocean. I call myself a goddess for Gaia. I truly feel that I am here to, like, be an avatar for her. I'm here to be an avatar for kombucha, which again is a water-based, it's called a mother culture. Like, it just, like I
Right.
said, I nail my chart is what I feel like. The fermentation, I think a lot of fermentation is, so for example, GT or Synergy kombucha, he's a Scorpio. So it makes sense that the guy who put it in a bottle and has the most market share is also a Scorpio fermentationist. Yes.
Well,
It's
Scorpio is the alchemist. So you can alchemize
right.
gold with silver, or alchemize something. You put two different elements together and you make it something else.
Yes.
So you are embodying your inner alchemist.
And but then that Sag moon, like, I love to travel. I speak languages. I speak Mandarin, Chinese, and Spanish. I love going all over the world, and like you said, putting myself out there and having so much
Yes.
fun. And I think that's my eternal optimist. Like,
Yes.
again, with not having a defined route, I'm also like, the money will come. It's all good. We'll figure it out. Whereas my husband with his defined route is like, oh, he's just a little more worried about those things. He's also an Aries, and so our fire, we have a lot of fire and Mars in common, but he's definitely
A lot of
more.
passion there.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes we need a mortal in human form when we're so up in the fifth dimensional planes.
Yes, he's a good anchor and a good steward, but we definitely, like, he's not. I did one tarot reading for him. He's like, that was perfect. You nailed everything. I never need another one. I'm like, what?
I never need another one.
I'm like,
I'm
what?
a believer. I'm a believer. I don't need any more.
Right. It's too funny. But then he loves when I'm like, I'll do meditations for him and talk about the chakras and healing energy and moving different things. And he really loves that, even though one might think he's more earthbound in certain ways. But
Yeah.
so, it's great when our partners aren't going to be into everything that we're into, and that's a good thing. Because I couldn't imagine living with me.
Our partners really come in to facilitate parts of our shadow that need to be looked at and integrated. And that's where you can really feel the love and have the love.
Absolutely. And like, we've been together 20 years. It's not all happily ever after, right? Like, relationships really activate those deep wounds from childhood, from generational trauma, different things. But they're such a great mirror, especially when we can figure out how to work through them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like to share about astrology?
Oh my gosh, I think it's one of my favorite modalities, and I love how it's become more popular, and just it's such a great tool. And I love the transits, and I love paying attention to the planets, right? This year we've got so last year was, or yeah, the last 18 months prior to this was Scorpio and Taurus. So I was really feeling those eclipses. Now we've shifted to the Aries Libra, so I'm expecting my husband to get hit because he's the Aries. And so it's just going to be interesting to see how it continues to play out. And even when we look at how it manifests in the mundane world, like on that giant world stage of world events that are happening, again, it's hard to follow everything, but it's so fascinating to see how literal those manifestations can be. And so when you start paying attention to where the stars, the moon, different things, and then working with it, right? So we have this new moon in Libra with the eclipse, which may be past by the time people are seeing this, but just in general, when those types of situations come up, new moons are the perfect time to plant those seeds, to write out your manifestations, to really dream about what you want to have happen. And when we speak, when we manifest things through intention and saying them and writing them down, that's when they have more of a chance to actually. I've literally written like I wrote one time, I'm going to be president. And you know what I created it for myself. I'm president of the Trade Association. Like, I didn't know what I was going to be president of, but it came to be. And so, I manifested my husband and a variety of different things. So it truly is powerful. And then of course, at the full moons, that's when we're letting things go. We're releasing, we're burning. And so when we really feel into those different cycles, the seasons, there's a reason that everything starts to shut down in the winter. It's because we literally need a break. We need a rest. We can't be constantly in spring or summer. We really need those times to be fallow and allow rest to occur, because then when we come back to those energies, and I feel like people feel them, like fall is a really great energy because it's a harvest time. It's a time of like getting those last things figured out before we go into that period of rest, before we've got all that new growth coming in spring. So I don't know. I feel like when we tune into the seasons, tune into the stars, tune into our astrology, there's so much richness there for us to really enjoy. And this is why we celebrate these various holidays. Like, it doesn't matter your religion, what stripe you're putting on top of it. Like, humans are inclined towards this because we truly are earth beings.
We are, and our spirits live in our bodies. So when we actually tune into the lunar cycles and we tune into the seasons, we also tune into that within us, because we have nature inside of us. So when we look at astrology as a point of reflection of seasons and evolution, then we can look at it as a guide. We can look at human design as a guide, as a tool that can get us into the next season of life, or what season are we in right now, right? That's the progressed moon. You look at the progressed moon, it shows what emotional nature you're in for the next 2.5 years, and so on and so forth. So, as above, so below, as within, so without. And it's amazing for us to really understand these modalities, integrate them, and live through them.
Well, there's so many to choose from. So it's like really, choose your own adventure when it comes to it. Like you were saying before, the Jyotish astrology, which is based on the Indian tradition. And, they still, like, you're born and you have horoscopes and they're done for you immediately. Like in Chinese culture, you also had where like you would name a child based on their astrology and how they were born. And it's just funny how it's become so like, dumbed down in Western culture, but I also think there's such a resurgence, and that's such a blessing for us to be reconnected to that, because it really does have so much guidance for us.
And I have a question for you, because you are so connected to your purpose and spirituality. And I think a lot of women right now who are listening are thinking about either starting their own business or already have one. How do you incorporate your spiritual teachings and your principles with business, which is such a 3D construct, right?
Well, I think the first thing is to remember money is energy and it fuels the mission. It's, I think it's easier for me as a projector, but it's not about the bottom line. It's the big picture. And what are you bringing to the world to help people? We're going to go through some really rocky times. The astrology says so. We can see it manifesting, and we've literally been torn apart through some of the things that have happened. But what needs to happen, what's going to get us through, is coming back together in community, is knitting through resilience. I think we're going to see a lot of small businesses, family businesses pop up, that it's so easy to do now. You don't have to have a brick and mortar. But if you're creating a solution for people, if you're doing it in a way that isn't harmful to people, right? Like, we're looking for those natural skincare products. We're looking for, kombuchas and different things that are actually going to provide a life force to us, as opposed to all the depleting toxic things that are around us. Like, I truly believe kombucha is here now because she's so good at removing toxins from our body. And, what a testament to humans that we're so resilient. And yet we also see that increase in autoimmune and metabolic disease, because our bodies are saying, hey, enough's enough. Like, we're really getting overwhelmed. But I think as a business owner, when you, like right now, I have a candle lit, I put incense on, it all comes back to what you said before, Violetta, which is intention. When you do things on purpose, when you do things in alignment, it doesn't always make sense how the universe will move to orchestrate what you need. I'm really like in an amazing portal and vortex with some wonderful women in my life, but it took a long time to get here. It took a lot of trauma healing, plant ceremonies, different things to get to this place where I was ready and open to receive all of this. And, and so that's just to say, we're all at a different stage in the journey, and connect with people who really resonate with you, connect with people who build you up, who lift you up, because, it's what you consume. If you surround yourself with people who are negative, who have negative energy, they're going to quash you when you're trying to lift up out of that. But here's what I do. I liken it to this. I've had many friends come and go over the years. And one of the things, you know, that thing where like you plug it in and it has a high vibration and all the critters go running away. This is what I feel like it is. When your vibration starts to elevate, those people at the lower frequency scream away
Yes,
because they can't
for
handle it.
sure.
Let them go.
Let them go.
Okay. We can love them. We can appreciate what they were in our lives and trust that we're just clearing space for new people at a higher vibe to come in. And that's, we're all on our path. We're all doing this together.
We are. Hannah, what a pleasure to have you on and speak about various modalities and your product and the beauty and how it can help someone heal their body, and incorporating spiritual work all together in one conversation has just been such a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm really integrating everything. So it's such a blessing for me to be here and share it all. So I do have a free gift for you. We have an amazing kombucha mocktail and cocktail recipe book. Kombucha actually supports a healthy liver, so it's a little antidote with your poison for those of you still drinking alcohol. I do also think it's really interesting. There's a self-imposed prohibition going on right now with people choosing not to drink. About 100 years after the legal one that was imposed on us. So we have mocktails and cocktails. But to your point, to make it magical, infuse it with things you love, drink it with intention, speak spells and love into what you're drinking, and just know that what you're taking in is something that's going to support you on so many levels. So we're going to have that for you. And then, of course, if you're interested in the Human Design or Tarot, I'll have more information on that as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on here and sharing all of your information.
So you can find me, just so people know, Kombucha Camp with a K, because we're cute and clever. You saw the K's, didn't you? I'm a word nerd. And then also Hannah Ruhamah. Yes, I have a weird middle name. It means mercy. My mother was worried. She conceived me out of wedlock. I was born when she was 19, and she was worried the Lord would be angry and she wanted him to have mercy. And so she put Mercy as my middle name. So I feel really blessed. My mother took
such who you are right now. Look at who you are today.
Exactly. So I'm so grateful she had that. But Hannah Ruhamah, the kombucha mama, just also rhymes. So
it's all meant to happen the way that it's supposed to happen with your names.
Yes.
It's incredible. Yes. Hannah Ruhamah. Hannah Ruhamah, which sounds very Native American, by the way.
It's Middle Eastern Rahmah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an Old Testament name from the Bible. So this is, you know.
You've got some codes in your name, girlfriend.
I really feel that. So if I was a boy, I was going to be Loyal Justice. And I feel like I've embodied both of those characteristics, even though I'm not here in a male form. And I love the divine feminine. I love getting my period. I love, like, I know not a lot of people say that, but it just, like, I really love every aspect of being.
You're celebrating the lunar essence as a Cancer rising, and you're spreading that information to all the women, because that's the feminine. Cancer is the moon, the feminine. So thank you so much. I honor you for that.
Thank you, Violetta. It's been wonderful to be here. I love being in your presence, and we'll connect again soon, I hope.
I would love that. Thank you again, Hannah. Bye, everybody, for now.